and I was talking to a creator with 8 million subscribers. She's got multiple channels, so overall about 10 million subscribers. And I asked her, like, I've got 1 million subscribers, you've got 8 million subscribers. What got me to 1 million is not going to get me to 8 million. Like, what is your best advice? She told me one word, and she told me one word immediately. She said shorts.
In today's episode, I'm going to sit down and talk to Mike D. Mike started his YouTube journey 7 years ago, and today he has over 1 million subscribers on YouTube and also founded an agency called Playstack. Mike and I will sit down and have a very honest conversation what type of work goes behind such a big channel and how he manages to run 2 companies simultaneously as a content creator but also as a business owner. If you have a YouTube channel or thinking about starting one, pay close attention to this episode because we're going to dive into the most important components of a successful YouTube channel. Today, I have 120 subscribers on this channel, and after listening to this episode, now I'm paying attention to the 3 key components too. Now let's get into the video. Well, congratulations on your writing challenge. We are looking forward to read your book. I know it's far ahead in the future, but I'm just like putting this seed into people's ears, this idea of you publishing a book soon. And yeah, could you introduce yourself and tell us your journey so far?
Yep. So I'm Mike, running 2 companies. The first company is a personal development or productivity coaching company. Started that in 2016. As you mentioned, YouTube is the main marketing tool that we use. We hit 1 million subscribers not too long ago. We basically help people live a healthier, happier, wealthier life. That's the first company. The second company is Playstack, and it's basically a video production agency, but we focus specifically on YouTube. So we help YouTube channel. We help businesses grow their YouTube channel and scale through YouTube, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm super happy to talk about that because I think more and more companies are starting their own YouTube channels now. Like even Riverside that we are, recording right now on, they also have their own YouTube channel, and there are more SaaS companies out there and they also want to grow their YouTube channel. So I think it's a really awesome topic to talk about. Before we dive into YouTube, could you tell us to new listeners, how did you get into YouTube in the first place?
Yep. So I started YouTube in 2016, but I feel like my journey started in 2013. So previous to that, I was very kind of unmotivated. My whole life up until 2013, I was very motivated. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't have any drive. I graduated high school. My grades were pretty mediocre, and then I remember I was accepted out of the 5 universities I had applied for. Only one of them accepted me, and that was one of the lowest ranked universities in the country. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to go to university for now. I'm going to go and get a job. So I got a shelf stacking job, doing the night shift at a supermarket, and I was doing that for 2 years. I loved it because I loved working on a nighttime when the supermarket was closed, and I could just kind of go into kind of deep work mode and just lose myself, essentially stacking shelves. Long story short, the supermarket, they were going through some pretty. I remember there was a horse meat scandal and some accounting scandals, and this pressure on the CEO kind of funneled down into us. And my manager pulled me into the office one time. He was like, Mike, if you don't speed up, then we're going to have to fire you. So I remember this was 3:30 in the morning. I was like, what am I doing? I'm like, I think I was 21 at the time. I was like, I'm 20. I have no responsibilities really. I'm still living with my parents. I don't have any kids. I don't have a mortgage. What am I doing here at 3:30 in the morning? And I just kind of completely out of character booked a one-way flight to Bangkok, Thailand. And it was the first time kind of traveling by myself. And I met some ridiculously successful people, really very, very successful, and meeting these people and realizing that actually they're just normal people like me, but they've removed their self-limiting beliefs. It kind of made me realize, it gave me so much motivation, so much inspiration. And so that's really when the YouTube channel started. I was like, okay, how can I help other people go from where I was, kind of unmotivated, uninspired, to super motivated, super inspired? And YouTube was the the best way to do that. I saw a few other YouTube channels; they grew really quickly in just a few months in the kind of motivational space. So this was back in 2016 when it was less saturated, and I started posting videos. And it didn't take too long. It took about 6 or 7 months before the first video hit 1 million views, which looking back now was like crazy fast. It only took 6 months. But YouTube back in 2016 was a very different beast to the YouTube in 2023. So that's pretty much how I started.
Yeah, wow. This is I think this was my first time hearing the full story, and then because I hear
Yeah,
bits here and there,
I
and
know
you
you've
did
heard some
tell
of
me a
that
little
story
bit.
before. Yeah.
Right, but like just seeing the whole journey, I guess it was very visual when you're like, okay, it's 3 in the morning. I was just in my deep work, and all of a sudden, like horse meat is kicking my butt.
Yeah, and
uh,
it was very strange because I it was so out of character to buy that flight ticket. Like looking back, I'm like, why did I do that? Like it turned out to be the best decision I've ever made. Like even looking back 10 years later, still to this day the best decision I've ever made in my life because it's put me to where I am now. Like it's kind of scary because when I was working at the supermarket, I was working alongside guys that had been in that job for 20, 30 years. And there was this older guy called Max, and he was in his 60s, and he was like, Mike, what are you doing here? Like, you're young, you're smart. Why are you kind of wasting your life stacking shelves? And it didn't really, I didn't really understand truly what he was saying until after I left until I left the supermarket, right? And so I'm
that's
really glad
crazy.
that I did make that jump.
Wow, that's amazing. I love when colleagues do these things because in my first job, I was just an assistant and I really loved it. But it was, I mean, from a big picture, it was really just a copy paste job. And the girls around me, I mean, my colleagues around me, they already have kids. They had their, a lot of their responsibilities together. And they told me like, Annie, you need to get out as soon as possible
Mm.
because you've got so much talent in you. You speak languages. Just go. Like, just leave us here, kind of.
Mm.
By the time, I also didn't understand what they meant. I thought that job was like the job.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's very
Yeah, like
cool.
when I was stacking shelves, it was genuinely the best. Like it was genuinely my dream job. Like when I landed it, I was like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe I've got this." But it really kind of goes to show how low my expectations were for my dream job. Like that's how low my dreams were back then.
Right, right. And okay. Well, okay, so now we are on this YouTube journey and you obviously learned so much from 2016 and today you are consulting other businesses to run their channels. How challenging do you find it to work with clients on YouTube content? Especially now that YouTube is a lot more competitive and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, with YouTube, there's a lot of things that you need to get right. So there's about 20 or 30 things that you need to get right when it comes to YouTube, in terms of SEO, in terms of the thumbnails, in terms of the titles, etc. I think the, I like working on the Pareto principle, so working on the 20% that really move the needle the most. And I mentioned this with clients all the time: is that the three things that you need to be kind of putting your energy and resources into is the idea. So I mean, I can say it until I'm blue in the face. The idea of the video is the single most important thing when it comes to whether your video is going to get views or not. And I know Mr. Beast, he talks about this quite often, where he kind of just quadruples, like 5x, 6x is the time that he and his team spend on the idea. The second thing is the title, having a really kind of clickable, catchy title. And the third thing is the thumbnail. And the title and the thumbnail, they kind of work together in that when you're scrolling through YouTube, it's the title and the thumbnail that you're going to see first before someone decides whether or not to click. And like, so getting those, if you can get those three things right, um, they're the most important components.
All right. And do people like get lost into the keyword research part? Because I think for my first YouTube channel, I tried to do that instead, like to see what queries people are putting into search bar and then make a video out of that. But is this how you approach ideas, or how do you approach the idea part?
Well, it really depends on the niche, right? So, for example, if it's a YouTube channel on um, how to build a website, then it would make sense to focus more on the SEO and the search terms, because with those kind of channels, they're more focused on, like, a lot of people find those channels through search, as opposed to, let's say, a personal brand where very few people actually find that channel from search, right? So the search, the percent of audience that come to my channel from search, probably about 10% of the entire audience. And then most of them are suggested videos and browse features, and browse features is just the homepage. But yeah, like, a lot of, like, one of the biggest problems that we see with companies is the way that they approach YouTube. They have a marketer running the YouTube channel as opposed to a YouTuber running the YouTube channel, right? So a lot of SaaS companies as well, they've got the money, they've got the money to make to put resources into the YouTube channel, but they're just not optimized, right? So they'll be making kind of rookie mistakes, like having a super long introduction, or the thumbnails won't have a person in the thumbnails. Like, ideally, you want a person, like a big face in the thumbnails, because from a biological or from a psychological perspective, a face catches your attention more than an inanimate object. So these are just kind of basic things that we go through with the client. But yeah, those three things, plus all the there's about 20 or 30 different things that you need to kind of optimize when it comes to catching the algorithm.
Hi, if you listen to this far, thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed the show, please leave me a review on either Apple Podcast, Spotify, or my YouTube channel. If you have any feedback for the show, please let me know on the Aspiring CMO Podcast social media pages on Facebook and Instagram, or send me an email on my website. Now, let's get back to the episode. Wow, that's very insightful, because yes, that's true. Like, a lot of SaaS companies do have this like templated videos, and to me, I was like, okay, well, that's what I should follow as well. So I think that you were the first person who said, like, being a marketer and a content creator is like two different things. And then from my head, I was like, oh, why aren't they both? But you really made a point there that thinking as a marketer versus thinking as a content creator is a lot different. Yeah. So now that you are also a business owner, how do you separate that two type of thinking?
So, like, I'm not, like, a lot of people think that because I'm running a YouTube channel, I must be super creative. I'm not actually very creative at all. I like the way that I think is far more in the strategy space as opposed to the creativity, which is cool, because I people in my team, they fill in the hole of creativity, right? So we've got some amazing people, video editors, videographers, designers, that kind of plug in that gap. So I feel much more at home actually running the company, as opposed to being creative and coming up with video ideas and things like that. So it
Wow.
does come kind of more naturally, I think.
But how about your channel, like the Mike D channel, Project Elon? That's you. So the ideas come from you, right?
It's me, and the ideas come from me, but the creativity doesn't. So what will happen is, like, I will plan a video, but I'm very kind of left brain thinking, in that it's just like facts, 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 and it's just value. But with YouTube in 2023, you've got to kind of inject that creativity. And so our process is basically, we have like multiple departments in the company, and so I will come up with a video idea, and then I will kind of list out the bullet points, or like the main talking points. Then I will pass it on to the juice department, and the juice department, they basically add their creative juices.
Juice department? Did you
Juice,
say that?
yeah. So they will add their juices to the kind of script outline. And then when we film, we have guys that are like amazing videographers. They kind of inject their ideas. So it's kind of this process, and then and then it passed to the editing team, and they inject their ideas, and then it goes up to the upload and optimization team.
Wow.
But when it comes to ideas, because that is the most important thing, there's a few things that you can do, right? So there's the basic things, like going on your YouTube channel. If you already have an established YouTube channel, rank from the most popular videos and see what is working already, and then making the same videos, because there's already demand there. Making the same videos but a different angle. You can also do that with your competitors as well. So rank your competitors' videos to most popular and see what's working for them, and then add your own angle. Another thing is you can download vidIQ and you can see what videos, what vidIQ does. It has an extension where it shows you how many views per hour each video is getting. So it might not have the most views, but you'll see videos that pop out, whether it's your channel, your competitor's channel, that are kind of trending right now, that are getting traction, and then replicating those videos. Another way is combining trending topics. So, for example, two topics that do really well on my channel is speed learning. Like whenever I make a video on speed learning, those videos do really well. And another topic is AI and ChatGPT. Right. So if those two, like if ChatGPT and speed learning, those two topics do really well, then you combine them, and then I made a video on how ChatGPT can help you learn faster, something along those lines. And those videos do really well. So you're essentially combining two really good ideas or topics that do really well, and then combining them up. Also, current events. Like so, my topic, the things I talk about is about personal development, productivity, and then if I combine those topics with current events, for example, like if Elon Musk buys Twitter, for example, and then somehow combine my topic with what people are already talking about and getting that video out fast. That's another way that you can kind of come up with ideas that are more likely to do well.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Well, personally, thank you for that because I just started the channel too, and it's a great tip. And yesterday, I also talked to someone who is also a SaaS company. They're running a SaaS company, and they just started the YouTube channel. And I see that their views are very low. I mean, it's a very very brand new YouTube channel as well. Do you? I think you are the one that mentioned the 1% rule at the SEO Master Summit. And since then, I've been taking that to, first of all, be more patient with myself,
Yeah.
but also to leave room for improvement. And I see that in a company, they tend to just make it a template. So each video kind of looks the same. They look nice though. So it's an interesting take where they probably hired a really great video editor and their brand manager is the face, and they kind of replicate the same style of video over and over again, but then there is not a lot of growth. What would you advise for people like that? Because I think a lot of companies are doing this.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about growth mindset, right? Where so the 1% rule was coined by James Clear. Basically, you get 1% better every day with your content. So one video, you might focus a little bit more on the sound quality, the idea, the next video, the backdrop. The idea being that, like, when you're looking at a YouTube channel, if it's an established channel, if you look at a video today and then you look at a video that was made 12 months ago, there should be a significant improvement in the type of video, in the videos that they're making, right? And that shows that they're growing. That shows that they're making progress, because YouTube's algorithm is very ruthless in that they really want you to improve. Like they're really pushing you, and YouTube isn't like it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It's a lot more saturated now. And if you're not improving 1% each video, then your competitors are, and then they're going to kind of overtake. And so, yeah, I think using templates is fine as long as you're improving those templates incrementally each stage. And it's not just YouTube, right? It's like in your personal life, like whatever you're doing, whether it's your work, even in relationships, like you shouldn't really be settling. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Today I tried to fix my morning routine. So
Okay.
that was number one. Ever since I've been talking to so many successful people like you, I'm like, okay, I should put something into implementation. So I fixed my morning
I
routine.
tell you,
But like,
a
yeah.
really good idea when it comes to morning routine is, and I love this because it worked so well for me, is tell everyone, like if you're going to commit to something, like let's say your morning routine, you decide, okay, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. every single day for the next 30 days. You just tell everyone and anyone, like it doesn't even matter whether they'll listen. That's not the point. So because they're gonna get tired of your daily stories. I know this from experience. But it's the accountability when you know that there's so many eyes on you. Like what I just finished write a book in 30-day challenge. I was writing 1,500 words. I didn't have an option to give up. Like I didn't have an option. And believe me, like some of those days, I woke up at like 4 in the morning. I was like, I really don't want to do this. But then I was like, okay, I don't want to look like an idiot. I've got to get up. And so I got up, and it really does work. It really is quite powerful.
Do you do that with other stuff as well, or was this just for the challenge?
I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start. So probably the next challenge is the next challenge, which is funny because I said that I'm never gonna do another of
I
these
know, I
30-day
read
challenges
it.
again. The next challenge will be posting. So this will be more manageable. Posting a short form video every day for the next 30 days. Because we're going harder with short form content. I was thinking about doing something like how to waking up at 4 a.m. every morning for 30 days. But then it's like, if you're going to do a challenge like that, it should be something that is going to move the needle more than anything else. And just waking up, like I'm already waking up at 5 a.m. So it doesn't really make much, like it doesn't make that much difference whether I wake up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. On top of that, I have calls sometimes in the US until 10:30, 11 at night
Yeah.
because of the time zone differences. And so it would kind of be counterproductive if I was then trying to wake up at 4 a.m. every morning. But like the shorts form content, posting a short every day, watch out for that.
Okay, all right. Well, I did see a study that that there was this very successful channel. That I forgot their name, but they made a video that they were posting more short form content, but then it kind of diluted their audience. And the overall, it was like that. Their summary was that even though you're posting a lot of short form, it gets more views, but it don't get you loyal followers. What's
Mm.
your take on that stuff?
Yeah, so I was at VidCon about a month ago, and I was talking to a creator with 8 million subscribers. She's got multiple channels, so overall about 10 million subscribers. Um, Her name's Marina Mogilko, and I asked her, "What is the one thing? Like, I've got 1 million subscribers. You've got 8 million subscribers. What got me to 1 million is not going to get me to 8 million. Like, what is your best advice for me to go from 1 million to 8 million?" She told me one word, and she told me one word immediately. She said, "Shorts." You need to start posting short form content because I've not fact checked this, but it makes sense. She said that 80% of views on YouTube come from shorts now. And that's how she's gone for, like, that's how she's getting millions of subscribers. And I think it's something that we can't really sleep on. About 6 or 7 months ago, the YouTube algorithm changed. So a while ago, just after Shorts came out, just after Shorts was introduced on YouTube, what they were doing was they were splitting your audience in that if if someone was watching your long form content and then they watched your short form content, the algorithm would stop showing them your long form content, if that makes sense. So
What?
shorts
Why
were
would they
in
do
some
that?
ways detrimental to the channel. However, they've since fixed that. They fixed that about 6 months ago, and so now short form and long form, they do kind of work together. I see shorts more like marketing in terms of branding and getting people kind of recognizing your face and getting your foot in the door. And then the long form is more sales, in that you can kind of convert a lot higher because it is quite difficult to convert with shorts. And you need a pretty efficient sales funnel and call to action at the end in order to convert. But yeah, I see shorts more of the marketing, and then the long form is more of the sales.
Yeah. From I guess if I was to say something about shorts, is that for me it's still very beneficial because I'm a very very small beginning channel. Like we just started a few weeks ago, and to me, first of all, I started off with not knowing how to do basic video editing. And like, I didn't even know how to do a simple 8 cut. Like, that's how basic I started out 2 months ago. And obviously today I could do other stuff, but I use the short form content to basically experiment with all the features that the
Mm.
editing software has, so that over time, um, if you compare my first short video to, I don't know, my most recent one, like they have a big change. So that was for me like practice. And the second is like it does give more traction to other social media pages like my Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah.
and obviously my TikTok. No, YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think shorts are it's pretty much the easiest way to grow on any on Instagram, obviously TikTok, on YouTube. It's kind of the easiest way to go viral. It's interesting though. Shorts, they have a lower average view per video, but what you're looking for with shorts is like one video a month, let's say, that goes kind of semi-viral, that gets maybe 500,000 views, a million, 2 million. Like that's really what you're aiming for, just that one video a month. And what will happen then is like it will lift your entire social media account, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Instagram. Like I know people that have gone from almost zero Instagram followers, maybe a few hundred, to 40,000, just from having two or three, within a period of 2 or 3 weeks, just from having a couple of reels blow up, like kind of go semi-viral. And so that's really what you're looking for with shorts. Whereas with long form content, it's more you're looking for consistency as opposed to one video necessarily blowing up.
Okay. Okay. But that's really good to take away too. And I'm also thinking like I shouldn't expect a lot from people who find my channel now because my channel don't have much content. So like I'm also thinking that well I don't want to expect a lot because I don't even have at least like 20, 30 long form videos that I can
Mm.
offer people to at least hit the subscribe because I know I'm a user and I'm also picky. Like if I want to subscribe, I'll make sure I subscribe to a great channel, right? So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
and the first 100, when you start a YouTube channel, the first 100 subscribers are always the hardest because there's no social proof. Like I can't remember the last time that I've subscribed to a channel that has less than 100 subscribers. But once you hit that 100, then the next 100 are a lot easier, and then you're getting social proof, right? So the more subscribers you have, the more likely people are going to subscribe because there's social proof, right? If you've got 1 million subscribers, then um, like that shows to everyone that wants to subscribe that there are 1 million people that have already subscribed. So that's pretty solid social proof.
However, that's when people would ask you, like, well, Mike, then how come I just don't, run ads on my YouTube page or something? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the problem with ads is that it kills organic growth. So if you have a video that's doing really well, and that's the idea with YouTube, like your main goal for YouTube is really just to get picked up by the algorithm, just having that one video that gets picked up by the algorithm. The thing about ads is that if you put ads on a video that doesn't perform well, or that is performing well, it will completely kill organic growth, like completely kill organic growth. And then also the the audience that you get from ads, they're not necessarily the audience that are going to subscribe and start watching your channel long term, right? And that's really why, in my opinion, organic growth and having people subscribe is a lot better. Unless you have, I know a lot of YouTubers that do very well with ads, but they have a very well-defined sales funnel, and so they're getting a strong positive ROI. But they're doing ads not to grow their channel, but to sell products. And I
Okay.
think if you want to grow a channel and you want to grow it sustainably, then organically is the best way to go.
All right. At what point did you start your digital products then? Because you also have many courses before you started your actual business, right?
Yeah, so I was quite late in that. I started the channel in 2016. It started getting traction 2017. It wasn't until about 2019-ish that I created my own product and my own course, and that was kind of like a bit of a eureka moment in that for the first time it was like, oh my goodness, I can go to sleep, I can wake up in the morning, and I've made money. And that kind of changed the whole business. So I created we've created quite a few courses now, but my first course was or is the Transform Your Grades course. I made that in about 2019. It's still selling to this day, even though I've not touched it since 2019. And that's what I love about YouTube is that it's kind of evergreen, right? So we've got videos that we posted in 2016, 2017 mainly, and those videos are still getting views. They're still getting sales, even 5 years later. Um, so yeah, that was a pretty big deal for us. So now we've got about 30,000 students worldwide that have bought our courses. And my biggest regret is starting early. Is that I didn't start earlier.
At what point do you think somebody should start early? I mean, shouldn't the first phase is to really grow your craft, which is making the videos and stuff?
Yes. So the first step I would say um, is to wait until you're getting organic traction, right? Meaning that your YouTube channel is getting steady views every day. It doesn't have to be a lot, but it should be steady views every day to the point where you're seeing that growth. You're seeing that subscriber count grow. Maybe you're at 5,000 subscribers, maybe 10,000 subscribers. But once you've got through that hurdle of trying to get organic traction, then I think monetizing it and going to sponsorships and going into courses is the best way to go. And I know in terms of sponsorships as well, like a lot of people are leaving a lot of money on the table because they just don't know. They don't know. So I only hired I've been working with agencies since 2018, but I only hired a brand manager in around 2021, and that changed everything. Like that was once you hire someone that really knows what they're doing, um, within 30 days of our brand manager working with us, she doubled sponsorship revenue in 30 days. And
What?
like the
Wow.
sponsorship revenue was decent to begin with. And within 60 days, she tripled it just because she really knew what she was doing and she was negotiating hard. And a lot of sponsorships, it's about negotiation. And the problem with agencies is that they're negotiating on behalf of the brand, right? So the brand, so for example, Notion might go to the agency and be like, okay, we've got $1 million. We want the highest ROI on that $1 million on that budget. And so the agency would be negotiating with me the lowest price that they possibly can. And they're very good at negotiating. But then once you get a brand manager, they're negotiating on your behalf, on my behalf. So they're negotiating the highest amount. And that was a game changer, as was the courses.
Wow. Okay, that's a cool insight because I don't think a lot of people talk about like how sponsorships work. To me, I'd always been like, okay, Notion sends you an email and then, it's done. But again, like because I've never done that before, so it's a
Mm,
really amazing insight to
yeah.
have. So thank you for
And
sharing. Yeah.
yeah, and that's why it's so important to have someone that really knows what they're doing, because you know a lot of people don't know how much to charge. Like that's one of the biggest questions, like how do you know how much to charge? If you get a good brand manager alongside you, they'll know how much to charge. um, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, with the course selling thing, I also asked another YouTuber, but her channel is quite like a lot smaller. She's got 8K subscribers, and she also selling her digital product. And she told me that it is working, but although she still has to do freelancing on the side. So, well, yeah, just I guess different channels can do that.
Yeah, it really depends on the niche as well. So I know YouTube channels. I know YouTubers that have significantly smaller YouTube channels than me, maybe 150, 200,000 subscribers, but they're probably generating more revenue than my business, even though I have 1 million subscribers, because their CPM is higher. Um, like even some of our clients, their CPMs are absolutely crazily high. Like I've never seen CPM so high before. They don't need a lot of views to get a lot of ad revenue. So it really is, and that's why I'm reluctant to say, okay, you have to have 1,000 views per day to start making courses, because it really depends on the niche. If you're in a really high CPM niche, then you don't need that many views at all.
So, what type of niches are the one that have low or high CPM? All I know is that like topics like maybe sex or something, they have very low or zero CPM, but I guess it's because of the topic, but I don't know other. topics, for example?
Yeah, so super low CPM. So we one of our clients is a cannabis lawyer, and so like it goes against some of the YouTube's guidelines. It's kind of a gray area when it comes to YouTube. So those CPMs are really low because companies don't necessarily want to be associated with cannabis.
Yeah.
Prank videos uh, for niches for children, like targeting children, such as Mr. Beast, for example. His CPM, maybe Mr. Beast is a bad example, but YouTube channels that are aiming for children, because at the end of the day, it's all dependent on the disposable income of your average viewer. Right. And if your channel is targeting, like, let's say it's a cartoon channel that's targeting 10-year-olds, 15, maybe 10, 12-year-olds, then they're probably not going to be buying many things. And then on the other side, the high CPMs, Google Analytics is really high. Real estate, crypto, sales, um, like anything really revolving money,
Okay.
where the average viewer has a lot of money to invest. So, like with the NFT and the crypto boom a couple of years ago, um, those CPMs were crazy because people were just throwing money all over the place. Yeah.
Wow, wow, that's really cool. So, does your personal development then fall in between the two? Because I mean, the person who watches it still has some person like disposable income, like quite some, right?
Yeah, exactly. So personal development is about in the middle. It's not
Mm-hmm.
ridiculously high. It's not ridiculously low either. If you can go into kind of a sub niche, so personal development is quite a broad niche. But then if you go to a sub niche, like Ali Abdul has done quite a good job of this, where his main YouTube channel is personal development, but then he's kind of gone into the sub niche of finance and business, and he talks about money quite a lot. So although the personal development niche is relatively average in terms of the scale of CPM, he's moving more to the higher part of or higher CPM because he's gone into the sub niche of finance and business. So really, it's dependent on the topics that you talk about, really.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's pretty cool. Wow. Another thing I learned today. So thank you
Mm.
for that. All right. So we are coming to the end, and my last question usually is, if you were to, with all the knowledge and experience that you have today, what would be your advice for people in their early 20s who are starting out?
I think in your early 20s is when you have the most freedom and you have the least responsibilities. I think it's so important that you kind of take risks, you try new things, you find your passions if you haven't found your passions already, and you really spend your 20s learning, right? Because once people have kids, once they have families, once they have a mortgage, it's very difficult to make the kind of decisions, or it's more difficult to take risks, right? And I'm really really happy that I took those risks when I was in my early 20s, and I did just fly to Thailand and then to Southeast Asia, and just kind of, as cliche as this is, I found myself in Southeast Asia, in that I kind of became a different person. I started my personal development journey. I think also self education is absolutely huge, right? If you can instead of, like, I don't know, when you're eating, instead of watching Friends on Netflix, you watch a documentary or you listen to a podcast, and really just kind of, like, my most powerful, or my most the best habit that I've ever implemented into my life was in 2013. What I used to do was 2 hours a day, I would be learning. I would be either watching documentaries, listening to podcasts, talking to people, watching educational YouTube videos, and that accumulated over years and years, and that was absolutely life changing. So if you can make that a habit in your early 20s, then that will give you a massive competitive advantage.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mike. And if people would like to find you, how, if people would like to reach out to you, how can they find you?
You just at Mike D official on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook.
Amazing. All right, Mike. Well, thank you so much for your time, because that's the most valuable asset we have, and you
It
chose to
is.
spend time with the aspiring CMO. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Yay!